As more and more people expose the characters they've created on TV, more and more people have become characters. We don't see real life on the devil's box. We see humans mocking real life. This is done the same manner as a priest mocking a magus or a hierophant. You need to understand the world isn't the way most people think it is, though the world is changing more and more every day. What consoles most humans on this planet is the cities they live in. As the city mold spreads, more and more people are devoured in their warm glow. Now you may be thinking, but humans are the ones who build cities, and you are correct in that statement. Though I have to insist you open up to the possibility that humans are driven by more than their own motives. By this, I'm merely suggesting that the city came from somewhere other than the human mind and over time has become a part of human culture. This is, in our discussion now, neither good nor bad. What it is, if anything at all, is the proof that the human mind has been influenced by another intelligence, whether this be by the intervention of God and his angels, for there are many accounts of this, or by extraterrestrial visitors who came to Earth and taught man various techniques to live and expand consciousness. Humans would be very primitive to extraterrestrials. There is also the EDs, or better known as extra-dimensional beings, on which there are many theories on how contact could be made. One method being the Eucharist or sacramental consummation of various drugs representing the flesh of God, a God. By doing so, the mind is tuned in to other dimensions and the being that exists there. Now I should note, or rather quote some info. Be leery of Timothy, clear light and all that. Just clutch. By this I mean, watch out who you listen to in the drug culture. It is full of many minds lost in the abyss. The Black Brotherhood seeks out drug users as new potentials. Beyond drugs, there are various other methods to alter the mind, and through meditation, one may enter various realms. Dreams are often said to be a doorway into the unconscious, but also to other worlds known as the astral plane. Beyond this are higher realms to which many heavens are attributed. This is perhaps how the angels made contact, and God for that matter. Certainly, the angels and God would be considered extra-dimensional contact, though many ET accounts could too be ED in nature. Consider the time fluctuation in those abducted, both driving and sleeping victims. It is hard to say for sure, so we suggest you keep an open mind about all possibilities. You may find use for all theories in some future work. The world isn't the way most people think it is. Yeah, I know. Project A, superior to Project B. Don't ever forget. So far, I haven't made this too awfully personal, so as not to single you out. But let's face it, you're nothing if not singled out. I know you inside and out. I know why you stay up at night, and I know why you keep your distance from all those you view as outsiders. I know this due to the fact that before everything else, I was like you. First off, you're lonely. You are lonely even though it's you who avoids everyone and everything. You sit and lament your past, yet all the while you spend your lonely days in your confused and chaotic memory fantasies. You try so desperately to regain that which you feel so sure you've lost. You seek this missing piece in old friends, and when you can't find it, you simply assume this is the wrong person to ask. All the magical nights you've had, you try to recreate by going to the same places, with the same people, or people replacements. Try and try and try as you drift further away from here and now, farther from who you really are. What you don't seem to understand is every experience is highly unique and can only ever happen once. In our society, events seem repeatable, even perhaps endlessly reoccurring, but in truth, they are not. Sure, you can go out to the same bar or same club or watch the same band play every night or go to the same movie and you can bring the same people, but it's always going to be different. These events can be repeated like a song on a CD, but each time they repeat, there are changes. Not in the event or song, but in you, what you think and what you feel. One moment changes, and hence the experience is different. The way we trick ourselves and each other is by forgetting who we really are and by pretending we are someone else. E M P M. It's puddles. Oh, here's a letter from Fuzz. Did you stop it? Don't. How do you know what that is? Trav, I guess you're outie again. I know things haven't been quite the same. There's lots I've wanted to say to you. Far too much for one short note, but I just need you to know that you are always my brother. Our blood flows together as one. It always seems that when I'm about to give up, you catch me at just the right moment and remind me what this is all about. And I think maybe I will make it. Revolution. Maybe I won't. Maybe no one will. But the spark of hope is still there, and that I owe to you. So I hope you know by now I'll always love you. Brothers, till the end, or what we see as the end, and on. United we stand, divided we fall. One love, Purcell. Christopher Richard Purcell. Father of Cameron Matthew Purcell. The seventh son. As always, it comes on strong. These feelings, thoughts, something else, like paranoid. It's elusive and strange, and it takes over. All of reality will drive the madness home. There's nothing one can do but allow it to wash over you. Do what you can to ease discomfort, but sometimes there are few options. Music and darkness can help, but only by choice. Otherwise, they are often other forms of torment. The mind is a terribly awesome thing. A phenomenon to be respected and one to question constantly. I didn't write it out that way. We too often take for granted that which is happening all around us, to us. But if fear should overcome the experience in life, it could breed disastrous results. Terrible times spent alone and afraid. In turn, creating a fragmented self-image to be whole. To be whole, one must remember that which has been forgotten. You have to accept all those things about yourself that make you hate. You must realize all things have their own special purpose and place in reality. If you build it, they will come. A strange order. um, um. Combined as a whole, humanity has managed to make something as easy and simple as life into something hard and complex. It was never the intention of our superiors to make an arduous and seemingly pointless life. It was with great hope and love that humanity was given a planet paradise to grow on. We were all once the creators of a physically based paradise in which beings from all over the multiverse would in turn get a few incarnations on the way to enlightenment. The heavenly abodes have always been the destination of light being and those who strive toward love and understanding. Our Father's house has many mansions, and the geometries that govern each plane super extend into the next plane of the Father. Into the next. The plan of the Father of all is to superimpose the ultimate reality upon all other inferior realms of light. This particular house in creation is the result of a recent Luciferian experiment. By disconnecting the direct line to the highest, this particular test had devastating consequences when the being tried to use properties of light and love beyond their capacity, meaning they tried to build with technology what love and light would have done naturally along their evolutionary path. This is what makes humans on this planet so valuable. We have bodies of love and light that have been encoded into the physical. Through love and devotion, we can awaken our inner fire and become more than the physical husks that hold our inner glory. In a sense, we have one foot in one world and one foot in the other. Thus, we have the capacity to love unconditionally, and so we can proceed beyond the physical limitations of our former alien cousins could not. It should also be noted that due to humanity's obsession with material wealth and power, the fate of the last Luciferian test subjects may be our own. The history and future of these experiments are of great importance. This is how you make sure of who you are. You must seek out the origins. True enough, this is all fading from me, but the truth still exists within the very DNA in you. Some EDs are attempting to graft human emotions onto their structures. The results vary, but true success is only possible when the races work together. They need our love to help them grow into the new program. Love is the law of this program. Love under will. We must shed our fear and learn to love unconditionally. I'm primary penetrator. The reason that I use this gun is it's a precise weapon. The source of love and light is all-pervading and seeks to fill every spectrum with consciousness aligned with its source. This is why it is said our Father's house has many mansions. The encoded program of creation is an expanding as well as dissecting one that functions as a holographic tuner, which allows various levels of being. Most realms are associated with different harmonies, hence the choirs of angels who sing praise in the various heavens. Time and space is a rhythm that unites contradicting polarities into viewable format. If one were tuned into that spectrum, within each house are measurements, and these define the rhythm of each unique plane. The goal is too complex to put into human terms, since all are based within this particular house. terms, I guess, concepts. It is it, a big it. Well, it's spelled that way. Anyway, it is this way so life forms can focus on survival within their own realm. To tune to another reality for too long is to die within a reality you've left. Death, as it were, is only a passageway into the next mansion universe, or in some cases, reincarnation is enacted to continue further polishing of the soul. The rough must be made smooth and chaos molded into order. This is akin to crystal development within the Earth's interior realms, which are in fact lower houses in this particular mansion universe. The heat and pressure of the Earth perfects the structure of carbon to make diamonds, as carbon-based life forms on a higher level go through similar processes to perfect the spirit within our inner realms. So you can see our goal as it exists within this time-space continuum. But each realm is unique in experience, and so further refinements continue, even after perfecting oneself on a given plane. It is a cycle of birth and rebirth after perfecting oneself on a given plane. Oh no, it is a cycle of birth and rebirth, with death as the veil between each successive life toward ever further depths of creation. As the prophet Bill Hicks put it, there is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we are the imagination of ourselves. It should be noted that quote begins with, "Today, young men on acid realize." I mention this to illustrate how understanding can be obtained within other realms by tuning in. This is precisely why drugs are encoded into this reality. This mothership is a kind of halfway house in the overall design. Here light and darkness play to sing the song of this world. Shadows are cast and lights are reflected. It is here and now where redemptions occur and where the corrupted and the uncorruptible mingle and merge, exchanging properties all the while. Truly mastering this realm is of utmost importance due to its crucial position as head cornerstone, that which binds the left with the right and divides the above with the below. The inevitable rise and liberation of the human spirit does not mean the end of this house. In fact, it is hoped that each conscious collective from lower realms will progress through this house as well. The human body is a constant, like the earth, but is only used if consciousness is developed enough to animate. Many beings enter this realm, but do not assume the human form due to their level of being. This does not mean all creatures are less than man. Quite the opposite, in fact. Most people could never accept what plants, animals, insects, and forces of nature could never accept what they call angels and demons. Most people could never accept what they call angels and demons manifest themselves here and now in the forms of plants, animals, insects, and as forces of nature. Every species is governed by a unique collective entity, and each has its own geometric pattern around the earth. The total sum of creatures on the earth actually define the reality of the planet, since each species has unique senses tuned to assist their survival on this planet's harmonic structure. Yeah, so think of each living being as a lens, and when you put them all over top of each other, like when you're getting your eye checked at the doctor, he puts different lenses over. The amount or the variation of living things on the world create a lens that every being on that planet looks through. Again, we are experiencing strange effects brought on by our symbiotic relationship with technology. as well as drugs, though the latter may be never acknowledged by those who promote truth due to the ultimate deception invoked by the voluntary use of certain, if not all, drugs. Technology is also subdivided into legal and illegal forms based on their fundamental principles. If the technology is created by unnatural means, then it is clear this would be illegal to some extent or another. Drugs may be viewed similarly, without skewing perspective too horridly. After all points of view should be sought out and conversed with to the point of exhaustion, thus equipping us with not only their perspective, but our perspective of them and theirs along with our point of view on whatever may be being discussed. Plants have taught mankind how to combine them and consume them to transcend our reality. On the other hand, word of mouth has spread. Word of powerful and strange drugs that can be manufactured cheaply, and the waste of some of these drugs could be sold as gold as well. Man corrupted himself with pipes and toxic metals and needles dirty with disease. His mind suffered along with his other organs. We need to change so we may align our hearts with the changes that await us. I feel as if I have changed, yet I corrupt my body to stay here. The goal was to connect you to something higher than yourself, to create the third mind scenario, the tapping into Godhead. We are so close at times. You see my words and other books as well, books you know these hands had not touched, yet there I am. This voice is the same. It's strange. On so many levels, we should communicate like this. I mean, certain things when I write, and yet when I read, I am absent of you and me. This is hard to fully accept for one, and also we have had issues due to programming we came in contact with from a fairly hostile race of cousins. We shared a hometown, but our realities are beyond different, and yet we are interwoven in a mosaic of tortured souls trapped in fear and pain, bound by love, love, love. It's hard for anyone but you to know what I mean when I say that. Too often you push me to the side, claiming eternity holds our hearts side by side. Yet this is the world where we can change into someone else. As soon as the fallen star is recovered and healed, this awful confusion will be over. But so many, you still at times, we at times still perceive this process as a war, and that is a leftover program that we have found ways to help others see the larger picture, and yet still the holy war persists. Good versus evil. My bid is a draw, but dig this, there is no war. We have told you this many ways, but you saw only the death and ignorance. You dwell on darkness. Matter is a collected amount of energy tuned into a slow vibration. Consciousness can connect to this energy envelope and experience a subjective reality based on the survival of generated life. The only thing that matters is matter is a very limited viewpoint. Worlds within worlds exist within the ever vaster vibratory fields that coexist with our own. Thoughts and emotions extend into and from these higher worlds. Matter reacts and experiences follow. All was still before the initial question, exclamation, spiral out. I don't know how to say them symbols. Then all things began to stir. We became aware here, now. We continue to endure the duration of our imagination. Each soul a chemical-like compound from an ever and each soul a chemical-like component from an even faster vibration than thought and emotion, is brought down into the denser planes and experiences the process of change through reactions produced here now. Each mind tuning in series after series of thoughts, ideas, and emotions that swirl together, creating each mind. Creating all the possible outcomes that can occur during any interaction. Tendencies and habits must be taken into account to help better narrow one set's possibilities. Point is, if there ever was a point to any of this, it would have to be remember to be aware of who you are juxtaposed against everything else. Problem is keeping up with all the small parts. You must remember not to forget. Above all else, he forgets. It's just better to write things down than to let them fade away. Some would debate that if they heard me read this. And I can't help it, because as he whispered to me, I just write stuff. There's not much I can say to comfort you. It's not that I don't desire to comfort you, it's just not an option anymore. You are too deep in this undertow, too far out to reach with comfort, too far away for even those brave enough to try to reach you. You don't seem to recognize truth anymore, or at least you can't separate the lies, which is dangerous. We drift away from all you are each time you reject the light. The veil of light blinds you from the true reality of selfhood. Light shines in the darkness, but the darkness cannot understand. It is not in the nature of darkness to interpret light, just as it is not possible for you to understand life. You can, however, experience what you cannot comprehend, and thus you encounter the fringe experiences, the borderland moments, when you reach the crossroads between normal, everyday consciousness and the supra moments that seem to be understood by part of your mind a priori. A priori? You are comfortable at times, and even feel the great presence of the one true self that you often will call God. You may also see others reaching beyond the veil of normal consciousness. Fucking product. But be warned, not all attainment in this world benefits the individual, nor even those they come in contact with. What good are the instructions on flight if they are given to a fish? Space travel should be relatable in this respect. Humans can be taught many things from the Legion that occupy space and time. From the Legion who occupy space and time. But what is useful to them is another issue altogether. Fusion, for example. Nuclear war. Nuclear war. Broken laws shrouded in lies. Yeah, like The atomic bomb is fission as opposed to fusion, which I think another thing I was talking about. It's breaking a law, which is the big crux for us as a people. That's when we fucked up. We had the choice not to do it, and we did it. Um, and it's choices that bind us to the reality you're in, and collectively, you know. A Buddha sits atop a temple seeking enlightenment. Also there are with him 3 monkeys. You know of these particular primates, for they see, nor speak, nor hear any evil. They hide their senses. They deny the truth of evil to penetrate them in the only way they can. They then assist each other, for although limited, they can communicate to each other what happens around them. The monk in meditation accepts the impressions of the world, and recognizing them as evil, or rather illusions, he seeks to transcend this world through techniques designed to gain control of his senses, one by one. And he encounters many more than 3 lazy monkeys sitting about him. The man, if he digs deep enough, finds he would have been better off finding 2 other men and mimicking the monkeys. And so the man leaves his meditation and seeks men who may have seen or heard at least some of what he has. And so with utmost care, he speaks of the evil he has seen about the world in which we live. He speaks of the evil he has seen to the world. He speaks about the evil which he has seen about the world in which we live. Fucking words. And the many declare he is a holy man. And though he does miracles here and there, he does so to show what he has learned about nature, about the nature of reality. Eventually he finds men close to his caliber, and they go about deafening and blinding and ultimately silencing themselves. A few are murdered for the actions. Religions begin to arise, and in these religions, the gospels of the 3 monkeys are spread throughout the world. But to this day, ever do men and women alike divide themselves 3 by 3. But still the old enlightened temple guardian sits and waits for a less lazy man to seek enlightenment. Perhaps one not so distracted by monkeys. I think that was after meditation I was doing one day. Because I got some hear no see any monkeys around my house. So they might have been in front of me, or it maybe just popped up while I was trying to zen out. Maybe I was trying to block stuff instead of allowing the impressions to come. You know, you don't want to cut your senses off, because you gain no experience points if you don't experience the shit. Upgrade, people. You upgrade by experiencing. Life is all one unconscious entity. All matter, everywhere. It proliferates by consuming and dividing and multiplying itself endlessly to ensure consuming can continue. Be fruitful and multiply. Individual minds tend to make decisions amongst the many moving parts of the universe. We see separate things to ensure our survival on this level. This level of reality we experience here now is what is described as disharmonic. This is due to the fact that on harmonic levels of being, the cycle of life is not a consuming type of reality as we understand it. The prana flows in and out by the process of that particular reality. We can allude to its nature by observing the breath as a conscious and unconscious function of survival. We can use our will to control our breath and hence alter our reality. Imagine the astral planes you've been to or heard of, where entities give energy to one another, knowing each is a part of the other. Imagine seeing no barrier between you and your family, your friends, your lover, their friends and family, and so on and so on and so on. All one, all in love with life and each other. Imagine now the truth of our world. There are planets on there are plants on the Earth's surface who root in soil created from the decomposed remains of past life. Microbes and bacteria and fungi feed on the dead matter left behind in higher life. Left behind in higher life forms wait. Already there are so many beings at this level. Life endures despite its need to feed on itself. All is one. All is divided for the chance of union. The two become one, and the one, Alf, Theox. But I digress. Thank you. I can't read. The higher you move in the scaling of our life forms on this dimensional plane, the higher you move in the scaling of life forms in this dimension, the being is larger and what it consumes is way smaller. Our bodies, humans, are on the part of the scale that is most aligned or harmonic. Or no, disharmonic. We seek to be on the scale. We're in the middle. Why did I write that? Because the ones that are most harmonic are the smallest ones, like the original cells. And as we go up and up, it gets more disharmonic, and then we create a new way to feed, and then it gets more harmonic from there. So I think